Okay, so Lostpieces from DA asked me if I could do a really quick tutorial on how I did hair and skin shading. So I figured instead of trying to type it all out and explain it, I would do a really quick video. So here we go. We're going to be starting with just, the hair layer on its own and the skin layer on its own. Make sure they're on separate layers so you aren't getting all icky and muddy. I'm going to be using the marker tool to color. Depending on the settings that you have, you can get a really nice range of lights and darks with only one color. And you're basically controlling the color with the pressure, using a tablet pen. Basically, it's the harder you press, the darker the color. The lighter you press, the lighter the color. Kind of pretty simple like that. You're going to be making really quick sweeping motions, really bold top and really faint at the bottom like this. And it's going to be really quick. It doesn't need to be perfect or anything, just kind of giving a general idea of where the shading is. You can be really loose and messy with the hair, and it doesn't really matter. Basically what you're doing with these sweeping motions in either direction is kind of creating a bit of a shine without actually drawing in a shine. I used 2 different tones using the marker for both. I used a 14 for the first shade, and then I used a 7 for the second shade. At least I think that's what I used. Just kind of, try and keep in mind where your light source is, and the highlights are going to be towards the light source in the most usual case. If you have more than one light source, it could be a little bit more difficult for you, but if you need any kind of references, just kind of go to Google and just find different pictures. The best referencing you can get is just from scrolling through picture after picture on Google. Swear to God, just looking at normal people will be your best references. If you don't like how dark the second shade is, do a new layer with a slightly darker shade and just kind of put it right where all the darkest stuff would be, and take the water tool at kind of a bigger brush and blend it out, and it'll just kind of blend into the 2 layers that you already have. So once you're done with those, you can start on the skin. You want to select a color that's just slightly darker than your actual skin tone, and just kind of be really bold with where you want the shading. For my style, I tend to color the entire nose first, and then I'll go back and erase parts that don't need to be shaded later on. But to each his own. Everyone's gonna have their own kind of style, so just kind of, do whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to be really neat with the first layer of shading. It can be really messy. Just try and, give an idea of where your shading's gonna be. Blend that all out with the water tool. Make all the edges nice and soft. And then start with another color, slightly darker and a bit more to either the red or the purple side, depending on, your personal preference. It's not good to just usually stay all in the orange and yellow tones that you would pick for the base. You can use a smaller marker brush to do this, just for those smaller details like around the lips, around the edge of the nose and the ear. Again, it's more personal preference than anything else, but I'd suggest a smaller brush for any kind of small details. So once you're done laying that down, take the water tool again and just start blending out. Try not to leave too many harsh edges. There are certain places where it is acceptable, like certain places near the collarbone, around the chin, and sometimes around the nose and the ear. Again, it's a matter of, your character's actual features. I like to put a little highlight on the bottom side of the nose. Some people do, some people don't. I've noticed it a lot in photos, so I tend to stick it in there. And sometimes a little teeny tiny highlight, like just above the nostril, which is usually almost as light as just the base skin tone. Once you're done with that, just kind of merge your shading together and erase the parts on the nose that don't need to be shaded and blend that out with the water tool again. I decided at the last minute to do the lips on their own layer instead of using the skin layer. So just kind of ignore my little mess up there. With lips, try and remember that towards the line of the lips, it's going to be darker. That is the crease in the lips. And depending on your preference or whether or not your character is wearing some kind of weird lip gloss or something, you can do a shine on the lips. Try not to make it too bright unless you've got a lot of a, you know, like a really bright light source. Otherwise, it's gonna look really gaudy. I mean, if it's your personal taste to do that, go for it. Just kind of stick a few light highlights here and there and blend them out really well with the water tool. It'll kind of give more of a pop to those places. And if your lips look a little too stark, take a really small water tool and kind of blend them out a little. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just using the water and brush tools in moderation and just kind of figuring out what style works best for you. If anyone needs any of my brush settings, just tell me and I'll leave a little screen cap in the comments. And thanks for watching.